And now, from the bowels of the internet, it's the Hate Bit Podcast.
The Hate Bit Podcast is on the air. Welcome to our show. Hate fans, we mourn the passing of the late, great son of Mayberry, Andy Griffith, who we found out was 86 years old, which is amazing because I thought he was at least 114 or something like that. But good for him. He's gone, doesn't have to suffer here with the rest of us. Anyway, I'm Yo Chaos. Joining me as always, Razor Fist.
I'm Razor Fist. Marijuana smells bad and you should feel bad for smoking it.
Alpha Omega Sin.
Lube is also known as
Sainted Magnus.
Space biscuits.
And welcome to our show. We got a lot in store for you today, so sit back, grab a light snack, and enjoy the show. We're going to dip into the mailbag. We're going to talk about games we like, games we don't like. We're going to talk about there's bad news over in the Sega camp. We're going to talk about there's some bad news for you motherfuckers coming from the Watch Dogs camp. We're going to talk about what kind of music we've been listening to because you guys have been so curious over the last couple of weeks. And we're going to talk about Nintendo giving up on 3D.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And we got a whole lot more in store for you, so sit back and enjoy. But without wasting any time at all, we're going to go right into the female bag. Now, if you have a question at all for the female bag, please drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. This particular piece comes from hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. And it says, who of you played the Ace Combat series, and what do you think of the series itself? Personally, I think the AC3 American version was chopped and dumbed down from the original. AC5, the best of the series. Oh, and fuck Assault Horizon, I beg your pardon. And he says, please do continue to ramble on, Esteban.
Okay, Esteban.
So, do we
I actually speak to him quite regularly on Facebook. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, do we know anything about the Ace Combat series?
Yes,
I know
do.
a little bit as well.
Well,
a little bit.
Go on, Razor, you first.
Well, they're fantastic. The PS2 iterations are probably the pinnacle, although Ace Combat 6, an Xbox 360 exclusive, by the way, Sainted,
Yeah, I know.
is,
Jesus.
is
You,
really
you're
good.
starting the fanboy wars. I don't
I
give
had to
two
fire
shits.
the opening salvo. Sorry. But yeah, Ace Combat 6 Fires of Liberation is pretty good. It was the first in the series that I'm aware of. No. I'm thinking of the brand new, terrible one that sold like bottled farts. But Ace Combat 6 is really, really good. I really hated that new one. What was it called? Assault Horizon?
Yeah.
Assault Horizon? Absolutely horrendous game. I had a review copy. I literally sat down with it for 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, it became my mortal enemy. And I immediately just I'm like, this isn't even review worthy. So I did a vlog about it, and that's it. So, I don't know. Anybody else have any experience with the Ace Combat series?
Ace
do.
Combat 3, 4, and 5. Never played 6. Never played the first 2. And I'm in the same boat with you on or whatever it's fucking called.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. I'm thinking of the movie there, but that
Right.
that piece of dog shite, nah. It's not an Ace Combat game. It's basically flying around with quick time events.
It really is. It's like, it's essentially the Uncharted of flying games, or the I don't know, the Gears of War of flying games. It's just so lobotomized. It's a real shame. They tried to do. I'm sure they convinced themselves they were trying to be innovative, but let's be real here. They were trying to make it Call of Duty in the sky, all right? And they failed abysmally at it, and they deserved how hard that first game.
But there already is a Call of Duty in the sky. It's called Battlefield 3.
Right, exactly. And actually, the air combat in Battlefield 3 was more fun than Assault Horizon.
I agree.
So-
The air combat is fun in on Battlefield 3 when you can get.
And while we're on the
Yeah.
subject, in Battlefield 1942, it's more fun than fucking Assault Horizon.
Oh no,
Any game that has ever had a plane, Pilot Wings 64 for fuck's sake.
Pilot Wings on the 3DS.
UN Squadron. But, anyways.
1944, the side-scrolling shooting.
Playing with a paper airplane.
I know, right?
Jumping
Model
off a
airplane.
building and flapping your arms and hoping for the best.
Can I chime in real quick about Ace Combat?
Go for it.
So,
Ace Combat, I played Air Combat, Ace Combat 2, Ace Combat 3, Ace Combat 6, and that's all the games I played from it. But out of the entire bunch, I would have to say Ace Combat 2 and Ace Combat 6 are my favorites. Anybody out there listening, if you have any kind of interest in it, play Ace Combat 2 first. Has one of the best soundtracks ever. Seriously, look up the tracks. Was it Bear Tracks and Warning Line? Those are two of the best songs from the series right there. All the stages really badass. Ace Combat 6, if you can find it on the 360 with the flight stick, get it because it'll blow your fucking mind. I saw it literally the other day at a game store for 50 bones, and that's like really, really cheap because it goes for like $100 online. I already own it. That's why I didn't snag it up real quick. But I mean, it's a fucking hell of an experience and worthy of your time.
Still, sorry to chime in here, but
That's
the
all right.
game still looks really good. Ace
Oh, it
Combat
does.
6. It remains one arguably the most graphically impressive game I have seen this generation. It puts everything else I've played to shame. There are times you are playing Ace Combat 6 and you're like, this looks like real life.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's creepy.
100% agree. The backgrounds, like when I was almost said driving, when you're flying around, in the background and then the actual ground itself, it's like photorealistic. It looks amazing, and granted, graphics don't always mean everything, but when you see something that amazing, especially for how early that showed up in the 360's library, it's pretty damn impressive. But yeah. 2 and 6 really good. If you can find Air Combat, which is the first one, pick that up too because it's also just as fun. But yeah, there's our 2 cents, I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
What about you, Mr. Chaos?
I really don't have that much experience with it. I see it in the game stores every now and again, and I'll see them cheap, and it's just, maybe next time.
You should try them. Try Ace Combat 3 because that's pretty good.
I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of just flying around games. Airplane or air combat games have never really intrigued me. So, but I'll give it a shot if I come across one.
There's no snapping turtles or Goombas or.
No.
You're shitting me. Well, now I'm definitely not even getting anywhere fucking near that, man. You mean there's no bounty hunter tits or elf ears or none of that? What the fuck is
Nope.
this, man? Are you sure you're talking about a video game?
Although I will say this for the game, it breaks the laws of physics with a fair amount of aplomb. Like in Ace Combat 6, there's this giant airship that's like the size of a country, and you have to take it down. It's like one of the last bosses in the game or something, and then like there's this whole squadron full of ships that literally break the laws of physics. They can stop in midair and go. I mean, what are you gonna do, Japan? But still.
Yeah, that means that they have aircraft that can do that.
Apparently.
We are in trouble because once we stop buying fucking TVs, they're gonna start selling something else. Anyway, well, we thank you for your inquiry about Ace Combat, what have you. But our next piece of mail comes from our good friend Jeebus Crust, and Jeebus says, "What's up, guys? It's Jeebus, your 9-toe friend once again." Well, thank you. We appreciate that. He has some questions, and he says, "Who within the entire gaming industry deserves to be fed a mouthful of sweaty, unwashed scrotum, and why? What do you hope that will straighten out about them or their work that affects the gaming industry? I don't know.
Reggie
Who deserves to be
Fils-Aimé
fed?"
deserves it.
Reggie Fils.
There's no discussion about it. Just Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah, his
I
body
want to
is-
feed Reggie Fils-Aimé his own asshole.
Yeah, and according to Reggie himself, his body is ready. So
I don't know. I'm still
His body is definitely, yeah.
I'm still having nightmares when he demonstrated Just Dance.
Dude, he has 6 pairs of fucking love handles. It's kind of hard to even look at the
Can
fucking
you
screen.
imagine how emotionally distraught his Wii Fit balance board must be?
His Wii Fit
Distraught? You
balance
mean how
board is
many
probably
pieces it's
snapped
in?
in half.
That's part of it too.
Oh yeah, forever seared in my memory is the thought of his majestic man boobs, fucking moobs flapping in the breeze.
He
As
looks
he-
like an animatronic, doesn't he? There's
I-
there's no way anything this size could fit into a suit.
Yeah, right.
It's it's awful. He's terrible, and I hope that somebody very soon feeds him a mouthful of sweaty scrotum sack something.
Yeah, that works for me.
There you go.
I would say Hideo Kojima, personally. He makes a lot of bad games. I don't even like the good Metal Gear Solid games, and I think he's really pretentious. And every time he opens his mouth, stupid shit comes out. And every time he gives his studio work, stupid shit comes out as well. So I would tend to say Hideo Kojima. He also lies a lot. An awful lot. Oh, this is my last Metal Gear Solid. Oh, this is my last Metal Gear Solid. Oh, Metal Gear Solid 4 will be my last Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, how's that working out for you, Hideo Kojima, huh?
Well,
So
apparently,
you hate Hideo Kojima more than Jim Sterling?
Oh, far more. Far more.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you say bad things about Jim Sterling, he will inhale you.
Yeah, he's like Kirby that way. He'll
Yeah,
absorb my
yeah, but
mouth.
you will. No, there will be not coming out and doing the greater good. No, you will simply be enveloped by sulfuric acid. The end.
lovely.
Yes.
So, anyway, we also got a little bit of mail coming to us on our Hate Bit Podcast Facebook page. I beg your pardon. And so, like us on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, there's a link down in the box below. But this one comes from Colin W. Berry. I never know whether they want us to give out their names or not. But Colin W. Berry says, "Hey guys, I love your podcast and it's the highlight of my week." Aw.
Oh,
Wow, you need to
says
get
I-
a life.
I know, dude. But he says, "I love, I love hearing your guys' opinions on everything because you are all very well spoken and have some incredibly hilarious things to say.
well
Thank you."
spoken.
Well,
Well,
he's
every-
talking about myself and Razor Fist. You can just
Hang
calm down.
Hang on, hang on, 1 minute, 1 minute. Well spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even say tomato properly.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
You don't even say
American
potato
English.
properly neither.
Well, it matters. All that matters is how we say clamato, right?
And you don't even spell centre properly neither. Jeez,
No,
really
no.
Yeah, well, you
spoken.
can't spell rumor
What's he on
properly.
about, man?
Nor can we pronounce aluminum.
No, you can't.
Just say tinfoil.
That's practically.
You're really old if you're getting this humor. Anyway, he says your guys' episode on E3 was awesome as well. I'm not messaging you guys just to give a bunch of compliments. Well, you should be. God damn it! You don't pay us. The least you can do is give us compliments. But he says I'm messaging you guys a question. He says, do any of you like sports games? In one of Razor Fist reviews, I think he mentioned he plays some baseball games. But what about the rest of you? Not just simulation games, but arcade-style sports games like NBA Jam, NHL 2-on-2 Open Ice Challenge, WWF WrestleMania the arcade game. That's not really a sport. Tony Hawk, etc. Personally, I find those to be 100 times better than the simulation games because they allow the player to do things out of the ordinary, and it's really a break from reality. Colin, we thank you for your question. Razor Fist, do you like anything besides baseball games, or just is it for you?
It's funny you should mention it. I was playing WWF in Your House for the Sony PlayStation.
Oh, you played a game on the PlayStation! Yay!
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it
also
works.
available. It's also available on the Saturn, for the record. But great game, and it was basically the direct sequel to the WrestleMania arcade game, but it was never released in arcade, which I think was a huge missed opportunity.
Really?
But it's got a great character roster. I mean, way better than WrestleMania. Yeah, you got The Undertaker in there, but you also got Ultimate Warrior, because he came back in '96. And
That's right, I remember that.
game was released in '96, and you got Hunter Hearst Helmsley was put in there, Gold Dust, of course, and you got Mr. Perfect does commentary in it. I believe
What?
Ahmed Johnson's in it. There's just the character roster is so much better than WrestleMania. It's fantastic.
And is it really all choppy like the original WrestleMania the arcade game?
It's every bit as choppy. It's every bit a Mortal Kombat clone.
Oh god, I have to get this.
It's really good and
I've never played it.
such an overlooked gem. Like nobody ever talks about it. It's like it never existed.
Because I've seen it a bunch of
Dude,
times.
they
and I
have
never-
fatalities in the game.
They do. You have like super pins, like
Yeah.
gold. Like gold. I'm obviously playing as Gold Dust because he's the freaking man or woman, as it were. And he does this super pin where he'll pin you, and then he'll turn you into a gold statue of himself, and then he'll blow kisses to the crowd. I mean, it's just freaking great. And like Ultimate Warrior shoots lightning bolts from his hands. Like I had no idea Ultimate Warrior, and he strangles you with the tassels on his arms. It's freaking brilliant.
Oh, dude, and the Undertaker pulls out a tombstone and actually beats you with it.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts,
Game
that
is freaking
was.
fantastic. So that would be the one I would throw out there.
Oh, that's wow. I'm gonna check that one out. You know, the more you know.
Yeah, and it's got full motion video too. That's what's great about it. When you beat
What?
the game, you get a nice little video at the end of your character with their music and all that stuff. So
That reminds me of, I think it was the original SmackDown or Raw is War for the PlayStation, but there was so much full motion video that you had to load for at least 3 hours just to hear Owen Hart say something that wasn't even remotely clever.
Warzone probably was
And
that.
then it loads up the next match. Like, this could, yeah, I think it was Warzone. And it was disgusting.
Yeah, nobody misses the PlayStation or PS2 for that matter loading times because
No,
those were
not in the
those were
slightest.
rough.
Oh,
Those
That's what I say, man. The best thing, if you want to consider the PlayStation 1 a retro console, then the PlayStation 3 is the best thing that ever happened to retro gaming.
with the 5 hour long install times. No, we've given the PS3 enough grief. Let's move on. What a saint!
I mean
What
that
a
in
saint!
a positive sense, you know, because around here we played the PlayStation 1 games on the old PlayStation 3, which is not, you know, still has the backwards compatibility, and it's like that.
Oh,
You know,
okay, I got you.
you put it on the regular PlayStation 1. It's going to take you a month and a half, like when you were in grade school loading up Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing. It's like, all right, I better get a snack for this one. But as far as sports games go, I like so many sports games. Here's a sports game that you're going to think is absolutely insane of me to recommend, but Ice Hockey for the Nintendo Entertainment System. That is an amazing game. It is.
Whoa! If you're going to recommend a hockey game, I think we all know you have to go with Blades of Steel.
Well, see, the common debate is Blades of Steel versus Ice Hockey. I lean towards Ice Hockey because Ice Hockey is a little bit simpler and a little bit faster.
Blades of Steel at fighting.
Blades of Steel.
Oh,
No, Ice Hockey had fighting too, and Ice Hockey, you were always ruled at Ice Hockey if you had the NES Max with the turbo button, you'd fuck everybody up in no time.
Did it really have fighting? I don't even remember that.
Well, it was a scuffle. You know, it wasn't. You couldn't actually see punches, but you'd throw your stick at somebody, and you don't remember this, man?
Dude, I haven't played ice hockey in fuck all
You
forever.
gotta play Ice Hockey. Do you realize how many people are yelling at their computer screen right now because you don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I personally just haven't played it in years because we used to have it when I was little, but I played the shit out of Blades of Steel more so because my brother liked the game, I liked the game, and my friends liked the game, so that always got playtime, whereas Ice Hockey just kind of chilled in the back, just being all sad face.
See, my favorite part of Blades of Steel was that it used almost the exact same sound effects set as Track and Field.
Well, that was Ultra Games, so...
You could play Blades of Steel and pretend you're doing the Olympics at Track and Field. Or something like that. I don't know.
Go on, Alpha. What have you got?
Yeah, what do you got over there, man?
In your sports games arsenal?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Well,
Yeah,
that's just
I
called
thought-
Alpha.
Dude, I actually didn't even hear you say my name. Well, for sports games, I guess I'm gonna have to go with I'll go with 3 actual sports games because I can't name off shit that's like extreme sports games. But actual sports games, I'll go with Mutant League Football and Mutant League Hockey on the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. If any of you out there have never ever gotten your hands on the games, they are very over the top, violent, and goofy. But the thing is, they're legit sports games, so it's not like you're gonna pick it up and not be able to get the full scope of the game. It's just a very animated Looney Tune style violence that goes on in it, but it's very cool. An ice hockey one, uh, fucking sharks will come up and shit. In a football one, you can blow people up and stuff, and they all have real cool names for the teams and shit. And the other game that I want to mention, as far as badass sports games goes, is NFL Blitz. Because
Oh, that's a good one.
dude, I played that in a fucking arcade tons
Oh,
of times
yeah.
because they had it in a pizza parlor up the street. And when I'd go there, I mean, because we were mentioning wrestling earlier, you can fucking hit somebody, beat the shit out of them, power bomb them.
Oh, yeah.
You can elbow drop them. Like if you knock
It
a
allows a
fucking dude
pile
down,
driver, too.
yeah, dude, it was so fucking cool. Like, your entire team could like crowd over a dude, and everybody's like leg dropping him, fucking elbow
Oh, yeah.
dropping him. So yeah, that was good stuff. Those are games I like as far as
You
like
know what's a
sports
great
goes.
feature? You know what's a great feature of NFL Blitz in the arcade? Was that they were fitted to use your N64 memory card. So you could pick up the game you were playing at home. It's kind of backwards if you think about it, but
Yeah,
I just
barely
thought that.
anybody used the N64 memory cards. I swear that shit was just there for fun for most people.
Yeah, I never saw anyone ever use one. And even like the F-Zero GX arcade machine would fit a GameCube memory card. I don't know
Dude,
if anybody ever used those, but
all the Neo Geo arcade cabinets, they have memory card
the
slots
same ones that
inside
work
them.
with the AES. I do remember that.
Yep.
But
I always thought
they
that was
always had like stuff in them, like somebody like jammed fudge in it,
nifty.
or spilled their Coca-Cola in it, or cigarette butts, or there was always something in there.
I know,
Treating
right?
it like a fucking VCR. It's like, this is where my peanut butter and jelly sandwich goes. And feed this fucking thing. It's hungry.
Mm!
Yeah.
Say to Magnus, what sports games do you like to play?
Well, for simulation games, I usually like playing Gran Turismo, Forza Motorsport, those sorts of games. So if I want to, just have a fuck about, I put in, an odd kart racing, like Mario Kart or Crash Team Racing. So, but my favourite one is actually Mod Nation Racers. That is just so much fun because you can make your own tracks, make your own cars, and just fucking drift everywhere just for shits and giggles. So I'd have to go. I'd have to go with that. If I'm going classic, the original Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, because that's just pure fun. And that's me.
See, I like how your selection not only as sports games also doubles as moving violations. So that's always
Yeah.
good. We're well balanced here on the Hate Bit Podcast. Anyway, that's going to do it for the female bag because we got some shit to talk about. So our first topic for today is now
It's the
Alpha
4th of
Omega
July
Sig-
today.
It is the 4th of July for those of you in America. This is Independence Day. For those of you in Canada, this is the day that you get to give less than a shit. I don't know. I mean, the 4th of July doesn't mean anything except to, well, Americans, Brits, and anybody else that the Americans have fucked
you
with.
you mean other countries don't celebrate our Independence Day the way we celebrate other countries' Independence Days for no fucking reason?
I know. Well,
No,
you got to
that's kinda
realize
like over here,
we do that for a very good reason. Corona
That's kind of true.
and chips.
Is that chip?
I'm gonna
So
be
in
an
other words-
asshole on a Wednesday.
So the moral of the story is, if we had better food, people would want to celebrate our Independence Day.
You are goddamn right.
You need
Because
to have a
all
barbecue.
our food is we stole food from the rest of the world and we just made it with less flavor.
Can we just
You're thinking
eliminate
of-
Corona and just replace it with Killian's Irish Red? Real
Good-
beer.
Ah!
No, we
Killian's
replace it
Irish
with
Red tastes-
Jägermeister.
Killian's Irish Red, I'm pretty sure that's what cold menstruation tastes like.
Well, maybe that's why I like it. Got to earn your Red Wings someday.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hey-oh.
Right.
hey, we got young kids listening to this. Anyway,
And they got to learn.
Sorry, Ed.
they do, because your parents are full of shit. They're not going to tell you anything. So listen to the Hate Bit Podcast and find out all that really neat stuff.
Sorry,
And
Ed.
if you want to our newsletter, what?
It's alright. I'm just saying sorry to someone. Sorry, Ed.
Yes, yes, and we'll talk about the birds and the bees in the next half. But this first topic right here, Alpha Omega Sin was just, pissing in his pants. He had to tell about this, and he wants to talk about this a lot. This is shitty games that we know they're shit, and we like them. Alpha Omega Sin, what shitty games do you like?
There's plenty of shitty games that I like, and it's not that games are shitty, but it's reviewers absolutely took a big foul fucking dump all over them. So naturally, people will take any reviewer's fucking word as gold and fact. So, pretty much, I want to go and talk about some random ones that got the shaft, so to speak, or peen, or whatever you want to go with, whatever foul object got stuck into these four games. But a couple of shitty games that I personally dig that got bad review scores. One of which was the original Clock Tower on motherfucking PS1, and it's also on Super Nintendo. But I played the PS1 version well before I played Super Nintendo version. And even though it controls like absolute monkey dick, because if you don't have the PlayStation mouse, like literally you're taking your little d-pad moving a fucking cursor around and scissor man's coming up and he's just like, I'm gonna shank you, I mean like serious business shank you, and you're like, no, I gotta run away, and you can't, and then you die anyway, and you're like, fuck, reload. But yeah, Clock Tower, absolutely awesome game. Another one, and this is something we had all talked about before, and it's called Deadly Premonition. It's on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And as one of the best main protagonists in any video game, I will fucking sit there and argue that to the death. And that's Agent Francis York. Motherfucker is the shit.
Is that a guy or a girl?
What now?
Is that a guy or a girl?
Dude, it's a motherfucking man. He's the man. Oh man, oh man.
I've never played Deadly Premonition, so I wouldn't know.
Dude, Francis York Morgan is a badass. Isn't that right,
Yes.
Zach?
Yeah. Isn't that right, Zach? And he loves fucking biscuits like nobody's business.
Yeah, he
And if you even think that you like biscuits more than Mr. York, well, you're sadly fucking mistaken. But no, seriously, it's awesome.
Jelly and breakfast cereal sandwiches. He also is a big fan of.
And I also like the fact that in the game you can choose not to shave and shower and whatnot, and then eventually flies will start buzzing around you like you're a fucking rotting corpse. So, and he looks haggard as shit during the entire thing, but he's out of everybody on the podcast, me and Razorfist have had plenty of time to play this game. It is awesome. I cannot tell you enough to go and pick it up, and pretty sure we're supposed to be getting the PS3 port of it, so I'm crossing my fingers that we're gonna see an American or at least a PAL region release of it, because damn it, I want some more time in that awful little fucking town, because, well, it's not awful. It's actually awesome.
It's a great game, and people, it actually entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the most polarizing game in history in terms of review scores. There were people who gave it 0 out of 10 and people who gave it 10 out of 10.
Yep.
And there's quite a few people arrayed on both sides. There were very few middle-of-the-road scores for that game. And I think it's mainly people were sidetracked by the lack of production values, and I think it really speaks to the just materialism of the professional video game industry and the fact that they're sort of informed by however much ad revenue happens to be shoveled into their posteriors on that particular day by whatever studio released the game to begin with. So,
well, there is something you're leaving out. News Corp.
well,
Yeah.
News Corp owns IG. I don't even know. I don't even know if IGN reviewed it at all. So that's not really. They only own one video game website.
Well, I was just saying, forcing the hand. You know how they do.
Yeah, well, the IGN network is a whole thing, though. I guess they did. They own GameSpy too, I think.
So,
But,
they do. They do, as a matter of fact.
They're doing
So, which means that they're surrounding us.
Well, it's just a shame, though, because, I mean, the game did get, across the board, really bad reviews and only a couple really good ones. And the fucked up part about it, and this is one of the things that I absolutely fucking loathe, is that after this game got tons of critical praise from fans, actual people went out, paid money to buy the game and enjoy it regardless of what those little fucking cockweasels said about it, they then went and all 180'd their opinion and said, oh, it's such a niche title, it's so interesting, it's so clever, and it's so Twin Peaks, it's one of my favorite games that did not do, it's like, fuck you, asshole, you talked so much shit on it, and you bagged that game up and tossed it under a speeding fucking vehicle, and now all of a sudden you're a fan. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
It's what the
Whatever.
video game industry does fucking perpetually, man. It's what they're constantly doing. You remember, I mean, I always use this as an example, but it never stops being true. Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5, when that came out, you would have thought it cured cancer. Every single professional reviewer was creaming their pants over it. I saw near perfect scores for the thing. Game Failers had a whole week in, week out retrospective leading up to the release, and surprise, surprise, the score they gave it was near perfect. What a shock, you know? Then, a few months down the road, when it's become abundantly clear that Resident Evil 5 was a step down, in order to salvage their flagging credibility, they do a complete 180 and say, well, Resident Evil 5 was a disappointment. It's like, when was it a disappointment 5 months ago? When was it, when you were getting ad revenue from Capcom and having these, when your web page was wallpapered with advertisements for Resident Evil 5 and your review just coincidentally happened to be 10 out of 10, where was your criticism of the game then? Where was your objectivity?
How dare you do something like that? That would actually make them into real people that have to give a real opinion and not their opinion that pretty much came with a fucking stapled on paycheck. So.
I did a whole rant about it. Shameless plug. I think it was called.
Shameless plug.
I think it was called the big lie of video game journalism, and I basically postulated, and I firmly believe that this is true, that video game journalism is a misnomer. It is the advertising wing of the video game industry. Yeah. They're not journalists. They're not there to report anything. They're there to give their opinion. They're not even there to give their opinion, rather. They're there to advertise the games. That's all they are.
Oh, dude, and it's even
remove the edges, soften the edges of the advertisements.
Oh,
yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, dude, they'll go out of their way, and this is fucking funny. I guarantee you, all of our listeners right now, I guarantee you come across at least one scenario of this, of a website that will go and preview a game, and I'm talking like preview it up to the fucking week of release, and talk highly of it. Once it actually drops, all of a sudden talk tons of shit and give it a low score. Yet the entire time it was put on a fucking pedestal and was talked about as if it was borderline flawless with no fucking flaws in it, and it's just amazing because it's like you're all fucking idiots. You really are.
Yeah, there was one game that they did that with recently. There was one reputable gaming site that actually they bigged up Lollipop Chainsaw. They says, they've done all these little featurette videos for it, and then when the game was released, they gave it an average score.
Yeah, you know what? And here, add that to my fucking pile right there of games that didn't get great reviews. I fucking love the shit out of it. Despite the fact it's a short game, think of it as the most awesome fucking beat 'em up you've played in quite a while. It's a good ass game, I assure you.
And if you want an example of how the industry, how the journalism industry is slanted in that direction, look no further than the scandal in 2007 with Jeff Gerstmann, the journalist for GameSpot.com, who, at a time when he was reviewing Kane and Lynch, right? And Kane and Lynch comes out, and GameSpot.com is literally wallpapered with Kane and Lynch advertisements. They were running a Kane and Lynch promotion. Jeff Gerstmann gets the game, and for once in his life decides to tell the truth. And Kane and Lynch is a festering piece of shit, and he calls it a festering piece of shit. And they told him to pack his shit and leave town, basically. They fired him for giving the game a bad review. And
it's terrible, man.
I mean, if you want evidence of this, it's happened. It has literally happened, folks. This is not us being embittered, elitists or whatever. This is absolutely factual.
No, take a look. Have you ever noticed that the gaming journalists, the faces of the different companies, change on a bi-weekly basis?
Yeah.
You can only spew so much bullshit for a living. I know, I spew bullshit for a living as we speak. So.
No, but that's a good point actually, because it's a case of if the face fits. It's the same with Fizeme. His face fits. A gibbering idiot company called Nintendo at the moment.
He doesn't fit. He just happens to be there.
Exactly. They found him at the back, rooting in the bins of the Pancake Factory. They thought, we'll use.
Well, you notice that everybody who's the face of a fucking gaming company now. I know we're getting off topic, but fuck it, that's what this podcast is for. you ever notice that they're not hiring like people with what's the word personalities? They're
Exactly.
they're 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 just getting people who can speak English. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo, Konami, Capcom. You look at all the coverage from all the from the Tokyo Game Show and just anybody that speaks English. It's some fucking office temp that they said, hey, if you keep your fucking mouth shut and do what we say, you can work here for a little while longer. And that's exactly what it is.
Well, look at
You're getting
PlayStation, for
through to someone
example.
who is terrified of losing their Toyota Camry.
I know, but look at PlayStation, for example, right? Kaz Hirai, he's about
Ugh.
as he's about as interesting as dishwater.
Oh.
And now look at Jack Trenton that hosted this
Ugh.
year. He reminds me of a car salesman. He really does.
Yeah.
He reminds me of a shredded wheat salesman.
Or Don Matrick from Microsoft.
Ah!
Oh,
This
he's
guy.
lobotomy as it is.
I I now Don Matrick, to his credit, does have he used to work at Electronic Arts back when they were good, back in the day, back when they were releasing stuff like Wing Commander.
Remember
But
what we said about just happening to be there?
Mm.
I don't, yeah, he was there when they made System Shock 2. Apparently, he was directly involved in the development of the game.
Wow.
What part?
But
Saying
now
yes.
he's a total corporate whore. But it's a perfect example of what I'm saying. You look at Don Matrick and you say, "Wow, that guy couldn't be more fucking vanilla if I was eating him." You know what I mean? Like, this guy is so fucking standard. He's just generic. And
Anyway,
there's
What's
so many
even
people like that. But anyways, we're
It is, it's
way
awful.
off topic.
yeah, I was
I was
gonna
gonna
say.
say so. You gentlemen, what are some what are some crappy video games? Quote unquote crappy video games that you actually love?
Well, two games for me, and I'll say this and have my piece. I'm actually having a very NES day right now. One was Fester's Quest for the NES. I know it's awful, it stinks, but I like it. I don't know why. I think someone made me play it, and then I had to suppress memories. And hey, don't fucking judge me. And the other one was Nintendo Golf, the black box. The game is awful. It doesn't really even tell you how to play it. It just expects you to know what to do. And I like that sort of thing. The Japanese actually expected something of you. Anyway, Sainted Magnus?
I think Jurassic Park was fun. It's a movie title, and as we know, history repeating itself. Movie titles are always shite, but that game was so much fun. And I thought of one recently, Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter on the
I don't know. I
Xbox and
actually like
PlayStation
that
2.
game too.
It didn't get very good reviews though, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I love the fact you can go around, get jobs, fly around in a spaceship, shoot the fuck out of spaceships, then go inside a big space station and shoot the shit out of whoever's in
Oh
there.
yeah.
That was so much fun.
I mean, it wasn't a perfect game, but it was definitely something like I didn't immediately quit playing it. I actually played through and completed the game, and I liked it a
Mm.
lot. And dude, and it's dirt cheap. You can get the shit for like $1.99 or like $1.
Oh,
It doesn't cost shit to get.
it's a fun game. Plus, it's on all three last gen systems, so you've got no excuse not to play it. Not to give it a try. And for the price, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Razor?
I already threw mine out there, didn't I?
I don't think so.
Yeah, every game he's ever played are shitty,
No,
but he likes
that's
them
right.
anyway.
We started off with Deadly Premonition.
Yes.
Well, I would co-sign Deadly Premonition, but I would also throw Velvet Assassin out there.
Uh-huh. Hell yes.
And I think Velvet Assassin is fantastic. It's atmospheric. It's not perfect. They certainly could have added a few more options as far as taking people down, like so you didn't have to stab them in the jugular every single time you were up behind them. Maybe you could just choke them out instead of
Or break their neck.
mercilessly just butchering them in the middle of the street. But that's neither here nor there. Velvet Assassin is a fantastic game that sets out what it attempts to accomplish. And at the end of the day, my only definition for a bad game is a game that doesn't attain what it strives for. Velvet Assassin effortlessly achieves what it's trying to attain. And I guess my only major gripe are those shooting sequences that are shoehorned into the game.
Yeah,
But
there seems to be a lot of shooting elements. Seems to be shoehorned into games recently.
I mean, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to do it with it. It's kind of hard to avoid with that game though, because it's a little bit more modernized sneak about game. Like it's not set way back in the day. So naturally, it's like, okay, time to throw in the gunplay. It just sucks whenever it goes from giving you the option to sneak or to actually shoot people to you have to shoot people now. You don't have the option anymore to sneak, and that's where I think that those kind of games drop the ball desperately.
Yeah, like the original Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid 2, any game that just completely jars you out of the stealth that is ultimately the game's strength. Deus Ex Human Revolution, as great as it is, with the boss fights, completely is guilty of that.
They were shoehorned in for definite.
The other game I would say that other people blasted and whatever, I've already done an episode about it, Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
kind of said that collectively last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Duke
when we
Nukem
talked-
dude,
Forever it's a great game. It has some clear and mostly just technical issues, like with the loading times.
I'd say it's more technical than anything else.
Yeah, well, and you're gonna get that when a game has played hot potato from like 9 different studios, and it changed engines like what 3 times.
Oh no.
You're gonna you're gonna have some issues, all right. And the game does have some issues. I mean, yeah, clearly considering the loading times, the graphical fidelity is nowhere near where it needs to be. If I'm loading a game that long, it better look like Skyrim. You know what I mean?
And the,
But
the thing that blew my mind is, I mean, the other Duke Nukem games, Duke Nukem 3D, Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, Duke Nukem Time to Kill, all those games, as awesome as they are, all have their flaws as well.
uh-huh.
Yet everybody acted like, oh my God, this thing's a festering pile of shit. And I'm like, but it was pretty good. It's just that everybody automatically was going to dislike it, even if it was perfect,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
because of its
they were
fucking storied history.
you get to a point where gamers want it to fail. You get to
Yeah.
a certain point where a game has been so hyped up that they are officially at the point where they want it to suck. And it's happened to some bad games, and in this case, it happened to a very good game. And Duke Nukem Forever was very fun to play through. Not really, as Saint had mentioned, I think last time, it's more of a one playthrough game.
Which is a shame because you play Duke Nukem 3D, and that is you can play that as many times as you fucking want.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate fault, but you play through the first time and it's a blast. And the multiplayer, when there were actually people online playing it, was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
That's because it was straight up old school multiplayer. The
Yeah,
type of
yeah, and I
multiplayer
really
like I'd
enjoyed-
grown up playing on PC. That's why I was just like, hey, this is pretty bitchin' right here. It's not, it doesn't have all the goofy bullshit added on, but I really just like deathmatch. That's like my favorite mode. And it was like, deathmatch? All right, let's go. And I'm like,
oh
cool.
man, Capture the Babe. Capture the Babe was great. You had it was Capture the Flag, except the flag was trying to stop you from capturing it. That was
Yeah,
that was just really
she would like
inspired.
kick you and hit you and shit.
Yeah, that was really inspired. I liked that a lot. But yeah, so I think we're done with that.
And
Yeah.
those were the shitty games that we like. You know what I have to say? I have to say this. You say that it's a shitty game that you like, but nothing sucks harder than for the people who paid full price for Duke Nukem Forever.
I did.
You can
my
get that
editor-
son of a bitch for $3, like at Burger King right now.
No, my editor bought it full price, and he got his money's worth. He enjoyed it. I mean,
Well, that's good. I just couldn't believe how fast the price dropped off on that fucking game. It was like when Gun came out for the PlayStation 2 some years back.
or like
It was $60 and then it was $30 in like a week.
oh gosh, that's nothing. When Layer came out, and I was working at GameStop, we broke street date on that because the reviews were so bad. We actually sold it before it was legal to sell the game because we didn't want to get stuck with excess inventory. They sent a company-wide email saying we should break street day.
How long would you guys sit on those things before Street Date?
Like a week,
Oh,
probably. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
anyway,
Well, at least you guys have a little lead time. But anyway, those are the shitty games that we like. Please tell us all about the shitty games that you like in the comments below, or drop us a line at hatebitpodcasts at gmail.com. But we got some bad news. Bad news in the world of gaming. In their latest cost-cutting initiative, once titan of the gaming industry, Sega, has closed offices in Australia and Europe. And looks like this is just the beginning of them trying to tighten their belts. For more, we go to Razor Fist. Razor?
Well, the European and Australian offices, and actually a few other offices, were closed in a mass quote unquote restructuring, right? Which is bullshitese for all you fuckers are fired. Clear out your shit. Um, I mentioned it last time, but I really hate this kind of legalese, like politically correct horse shit when it comes to restructuring and reorganizing our model, our profit model, rethinking our
Guess
profit,
what?
whatever
You
the
don't get to keep your Toyota Camry.
I know, right? Like, if I come back from a tour of duty in Iraq, did a landmine restructure my entire torso, or did it blow it half to shit? You fucking dolt.
Oh, just to point out, we do actually support the troops, so don't worry about that. He's only
Oh,
kidding. If he doesn't support the troops, I'll beat him to death with his own severed head.
You gotta sever the head first.
Oh, I'll sever the head. Trust me.
With the landmine, he's going to sever his head.
yeah.
He needs a
Uh,
landmine. I'll just use my bare hands.
but I mean, does this come to a shock to anyone who hasn't been living in an Amish commune for the past 20 years? No
I'm,
one.
I'm, I'm actually shocked that they would make note of this. Like, you know, this is like the third or fourth time you've told us that, fuck, it's over, we're dead, oh God, we're dead.
Oh God!
Over the course of my lifetime, I've heard this from Sega at least 3 times. So
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
know.
sad at this. But, like
I know. It's
Razor
like
and Chris and I were.
it's
Hmm?
it's like the boy who cried we're going out of business.
Yeah,
but
you mean the guy from Circuit City?
but
Oh,
the thing is with Sega that they don't seem to go away when they say when you think they're gonna go. Well,
yeah.
take when they pulled out the hardware market, you thought, oh, we're not gonna get anything from them. We're not gonna get any good games. And then for 12 years, they're still making games.
And some pretty good ones like
Yeah,
Virtua Fighter 5. You know.
The thing
Bayonetta,
for me,
Yeah.
the thing for me is it seems that Sega.
Vanquish.
You're right. They don't really ever go away. But at the same time, it just seems like because they do lots of stupid shit, you know.
They
you know,
do. Like I
like
said, last time, they've got a post the year 2000. Sega has a track record like fucking Bernie Madoff. I mean, I wish they didn't. I really do. Like I said, they developed the best fighting game series I've ever played, Virtua Fighter. But they can't seem to make one good move without making 12,000 bad ones.
this is the company that somehow made tennis interesting.
Yeah, they did. The Virtua
Well,
Tennis series is fantastic.
the
See?
one the one bad thing that makes me kind of sad is Sega has published some very very awesome titles. I'm not talking like in-house developed, like just published. And I always thought to myself, if you really backed the game, I mean, just went above and beyond just publishing it, and you went and actually really gave it your all and financed to like get this game out there so everybody knew about it. I think that certain games that they've released wouldn't have done so poorly as far as sales went because a lot of them were pretty damn impressive games. Not every single one of them, but quite a few regardless.
Well, Sega has always made such cutting edge games that they've made games so cutting edge that they clearly don't understand them or know how to market them.
Exactly.
They make
And that's
these
how you
great
wind
games
up.
that they don't know what to do with.
Yeah, it's how you wind up with stuff like the Sega Activator.
Yeah. Or Sega CD 32X games. You have to own both of these, let's face it, pieces of shit to play this game that
Quoted
looks
again there.
slightly better.
Hey, I
Huh?
like 32X. I think
I
32.
like the 32X a lot too, but
I
let's
do.
face it, they were, abysmal business decisions at the time.
At the time, yeah. I think, but the thing is with Sega, they've always innovated before, I don't know, say Nintendo. Look at the Master System, for example.
Well, you mean how the Master System had 3D before the Famicom had 3D?
No, it was a more superior console.
Well, sure, because the NES was already out. They had something else to build off of.
Exactly.
That's just basic competition. My biggest problem with Sega, and now here's the thing: when you talk about office closings and you talk about things going on economically abroad, and you think about these people who lost their jobs, you kind of want to have a conversation with them and say, are you really surprised? The company that flushed the keys of the kingdom at least 2 or 3 times before, are you really surprised you're losing your job?
Mm.
I don't want to sound insensitive or anything, but fuck these people. Um, no, but honestly, it's sad. It's sad, but it's not surprising in the slightest.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
they've had their day in the sun, and then ever since the year 2000, I don't know how they pay the bills. I really have no idea. I think Crazy
Pretty sure they
Taxi
just
must have
shake
paid for most of that.
I think it's kind of like a stripper situation. They just shake their moneymaker, and the guy's like, "Oh, God bless them, they're trying."
No, but there is one
Wait,
thing I'd like to.
just give her $1, something.
There is one thing I'd like them to do though.
What's that?
I'd like Sega to actually turn around and just say, right, we're going to draw up some specs of what we'd put into a console now, and put them
Well,
out just to see,
yeah,
just to
but
see
Hell,
what they
man,
would
you,
actually.
you don't even need to do that. You could just look at their arcade units that they had out that
absolutely.
were out before the PS3.
Mm.
And the thing is, it's the same size like the actual arcade unit. It's just like a little mini PC. It's the same size as a 360. And the thing is, like, from a
Lindbergh,
technical standpoint, it could smoke the PS3 and 360 without even trying.
they're just too expensive to produce.
No, I mean, well, at the time they were too expensive to produce, but I mean, so was the PS3 and 360. All hardware when it's brand new is always going to be,
Yeah,
they're going to
exactly.
lose money for the first like 2 or 3 years, and they're going to make it up in
Yeah.
software.
But as a group of guys who grew up with Sega in our lives every single day, whether in cartoons or on the TV or in the magazines, whatever, that Sega is long gone.
Mm.
Oh yeah, it's like a rareware situation.
Yeah,
Like,
it,
oh
it
man,
exists in game only.
I love Donkey
Licensed.
Kong Country, but the rare that made Donkey Kong Country has not existed for a long ass time. Just like I love BioWare. Love BioWare, the BioWare that made KOTOR, but that BioWare does not exist anymore, folks. Most of
Yeah,
those
it's
people
like
are
I
gone.
love Pamela Anderson Lee, around Home Improvement time, but
Yeah.
that Pamela Anderson Lee is long gone.
Yeah.
All
And
thanks
here,
to a red
let me
Slim
be
Jim.
the one to throw this out here. So, due to financial straits and everything, I can guarantee plenty of our listeners at home have probably had this pop into their head more than once throughout their lives. So, when is Nintendo going to buy out Sega? Since they're the only company out of the big three right now that would make any sense to even fucking have all that stuff under their fucking umbrella.
Mm.
I don't think Nintendo would. I
You really
think
don't
there
think
are.
so?
I think they're noticed.
I think it
Go ahead.
depends on what company has the best relationship with Sega. And
True.
believe it or not, Sony and Microsoft also have very, very close relationships with Sega. Microsoft got a few Sega exclusives, and so did the PS3.
I would expect it to
And
come from Microsoft before Sony, though.
I kind of expect it too. They've done a few things, like with Virtua Fighter 5. They definitely collaborated a lot closer with Microsoft than with Sony.
Oh,
And
dude.
that's a next gen title. That's clearly the direction they want to go. They don't want to be releasing Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games every year.
No.
I think they're looking more toward the top of the line. And when you look at top of the line next gen titles, it's clearly they're if they're going to go with one of or the other company, it'd probably be Microsoft. But that's just conjecture, you know.
But Sega
Yeah.
can do it. We know Sega can pull stuff out of their asses and do well. It's
I
just,
kind of feel like they're at the end of their rope.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm clinging on to the
It's
hope
going to
that
be interesting to
Sega
see what
will actually,
happens.
stick true to form and pull themselves out of the shit like they've done, 3 times before.
Yeah, this is their third restructuring. That's why it makes you think it's kind of the three strike rule, but it doesn't really work that way.
No,
No,
it's Sega's rules. They
that's the
change every
funny
5 minutes.
Yeah, but
But anyways, they're not
they're
even the only ones. They're not even the only ones up Shit's Creek. We got another one to
no.
talk about.
I
Matter of
know,
fact.
isn't that? I was just gonna say, there's somebody that we all know and love. Well, I guess it depends on who you are. The makers of Mario's Time Machine, Radical Entertainment, has called it a day. Wow, Razorfist was really passionate about this. And
Oh, they
Razorfist, why are
didn't.
you so passionate about Radical Entertainment?
Oh, they didn't. They didn't call it a day. They were shut down by Activision. Because
Bastards.
Activision owns them. They
Yeah.
are an Activision subsidiary.
I was
And
unaware of that.
that's why I have to kind of temper my enthusiasm, because as aroused as I am at the thought of fucking yet another Activision subsidiary death, this is bad news for long-time gamers, because these guys made Terminator for the NES. They made Mountain Bike Rally for the SNES. I'm looking at a list of titles now. Simpsons Road Rage for PS2. Simpsons Hit and Run, which
were
is
both
basically
pretty good.
yeah, basically Crazy Taxi clone, but whatever. They made Beavis and Butthead for the Sega Genesis, which is one of the best co-op games I've ever played.
Mhm.
And now they're being shuttered, and they just released, gosh, the second to last game they released was Prototype, and that sold over 1 million copies, and they have to go out of business now. Like, what? I mean, for perspective, a Deus Ex Human Revolution sold 1.5 million or almost 2 million copies or something. And it would be like Eidos Montreal being like, okay, we sold 2 million copies, we have a platinum seller, now we're going to go out of business. Like, that's how ass backwards the industry has gotten, guys.
Yeah, and it also says one thing that, I look at all the big, big, big fucking game series out there that never once sold 1 million up until like last gen, or the gen before that, and they didn't sell 1 million, yet they're some of the most revered series ever, like Castlevania and Metroid and stuff like that. These things weren't selling millions, yet everybody loved the shit out of them. They stayed around. They're still around, and it's like you have to sell several million or else you're a flop. That's a
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
shame.
Once again, it's just the leering avarice, the corporate suits claiming they can't justify keeping a studio or an intellectual property around so long as they aren't churning out monochromatic FPS clones that print $1 million bills. That's basically all it is.
Well, that's
And
the
you
thing.
know
They're gonna
what?
run into trouble. They're gonna run into trouble making video games when suddenly they realize they have no one to make the video games.
I know. They're going to
Yeah.
say, "Oh shit, we need another 100 million. Oh, we'll make another Call of Duty clone. Oh, we'll go and kill something for 5 minutes, and hopefully the new shade of dirt color grey looks good on our screens. What do you think? Oh God,
Yeah.
if gaming starts getting like that, I'm going to stick with retro.
Yeah, so once and for all time, I think we can come all together, right? Right? We can say
Yeah.
that we all hope that Bobby Kotick is raped by a woolly rhinoceros.
I was actually voting for an 8-dicked walrus myself.
Um,
Octo-dicked walrus. But now with
Octo-dicked
that,
walrus.
but now, as we've already established, with that rape joke, we have officially been kicked off of that guy with the glasses.com.
Yay!
wah wah wah. Oh, and here, let me
Turns
add
out
one.
we're not the only ones.
We have to add one to the pile. If he is going to be raped by anything, I hope that it has a lightsaber for a cock, so it gets done right. And
It's not
that's
really
that's
rape.
nice.
That'd kind of be over rather quickly, wouldn't you say?
But it would be
Chainsaw.
fucking hilarious.
Do
That's
you
all I
think
know.
we should actually use our patented weapon, the cancer fist?
The cancer punch.
That's right. We're gonna give him the cancer fist right in the old keister.
Yay!
Cancer of the
Anyway,
taint. Cancer of the
yeah.
taint.
There you go. So now, but we have to mourn the passing of radical entertainment, and it's a sign of what's to come.
Yeah, which is a shame because the prototype series was fantastic.
It was, and even when any studio closes, it's kind of a sad thing because once again, if no one makes the games, they're not gonna have any.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's taken this into account. If you stop making all the games, there's not gonna be any games.
Well,
Anyway, what the hell do I know?
that's why we all think there's going to be a crash.
I know.
I've said this many times myself, and from watching what's happening with the gaming industry, and usually I keep pretty quiet about these things, but I think there's going to be a crash, and I bet you my last fucking dime that EA, Activision, and all these fucking stupid third-party developers and distributors will blame us.
Well,
they
sure,
already are.
that's what they do, man.
They
That's great.
already are, man. They're not even
Yeah.
hitting the crash yet, and they're already blaming us for the downturn in their personal fortune.
Yes, but you know what? You know what's great about these companies is that they value your privacy, and you know the way they valued your privacy, the way the Watch Dogs promo game leaked apparently a shit ton of email addresses just recently.
Yeah.
Oh
Good
yeah,
time.
Well done,
yeah, because
Ubisoft.
they care about you. Razorfist, what happened over there? What?
Oh, nothing much. Just folks, Watch Dogs is the game that all the people were drooling over, even though they were given no story details and no reason to give a fuck about anything going on the screen. The glorified tech demo, that game? Yeah. So
The thing that actually made no sense whatsoever.
apparently they had a promotional game released for Watch Dogs, and in order to sign up for this game, you had to tender over rather your email address. And apparently, when they sent these games out or sent out the confirmation emails or whatever the fuck, whenever they sent those out, they said they instead of sending them out individually to each individual person, they courtesy copied them. So everybody's email address was out there for everybody else's to view. So, which is fantastic for spam bots and every other fucking thing. So that's great. Your personal email address is out there, courtesy of Ubisoft. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
folks.
with all of that, so what they do? They save like what $75 in man hours to completely jeopardize everything.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
I
they weren't.
love that.
It's more time they can put into making the Splinter Cell series look like Uncharted.
Well, that's what they do, and everybody was so excited. I can't wait for this game. It's like, yeah, you probably couldn't wait for VD either.
But like
Because
I said, yeah, I mean it's getting a little unsettling how all these companies want your email address. It seems like every company, whether you're at a retail chain or you're signing up for, got even an account on PSN. PSN's free and they still want your email address. They still want all your personal details. Everyone wants your email address. Everybody. I mean, I have actually taken to inventing. I have lots of different decoy accounts because I'm sick and tired of my personal email inbox being flooded with people. I mean, it's just it's utter nonsense. I don't need to hear about how I can increase the size of my member, folks. All right, I don't need that.
you don't?
No,
That's
don't you?
I'm wearing it as a scarf as we speak. So no.
We were
Well,
having a
for those
conversation.
Well, for those that are really curious, you can also reach Razorfist in one of his alternate emails at dbacklover602 at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
So, what were you saying, Mr. Sin?
Oh, I was just saying, me and Razorfist were having a conversation earlier about what we do in general public with our members, and I said this would have made a very good bit for the podcast. But we were talking about how we would do various things like Olympic style things with our dicks. I was talking about pole vaulting. He was talking about that he has to wrap it around himself a couple times and tuck it down his pants into his boot. I said I use mine as a belt, and if I get hard, then pretty much my pants are going to fall down. And I'm going to uppercut the bitch somewhere across the street. And quite frankly, if either of us are within the same exact fucking street block of one another, every single woman is probably going to be done for, including the old ones, which, as Squigelf would definitely say, is, do you like that? Does you like that?
Does you like that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're talking
Oh.
about Olympic sexual. That's amazing because I was having the same thought. I came up with this event, right? I slap this bitch in the mouth with my cock, right? And then they give me a gold medal.
I like that a lot. That
I
sounds
know.
like
I think we all should compete. It would be fabulous.
Yeah, and
it
then
has to be different. It has to be a different woman each time, though, because we need to have somebody go up and measure the mushroom stamp across her eye socket or her chin, and just be like,
know.
this right here is a level 3 bruising. He did good. He gets bonus points.
Well, we'd
and
have to do
things of
this
that
like with
nature.
like bitches all over. We'd have to like go all over the country. Like we'd have to do like Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, and Youngstown, Ohio, and Scottsdale, Arizona. All the little butt fuck places before we could move up to really being kings of the dick slapping.
Here's the thing. I also want to
Except
make
I've
it so
gone too
that
far.
if we
God.
do get this underway, I want to be able to do the podcast while slapping people around with my dong. So we can all just, have our various line of women and we're just like beating them around with our Johnsons, our
Fans, if
noodles.
you got some women you're not using, please tell them to drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if they're interested in partaking in the dick slappings around the country, sponsored by the Hate Bit Podcast. Anyway,
2012.
for 2012 tour dates, you'll be able to find tour dates very shortly at facebook.com/hatebitpodcast. And hey, didn't you know there's also some Hate Bit Podcast merchandise coming out real soon? For details, drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. Anyway, welcome to halftime.
When is that
And
supposed to happen, by the way?
well, it's happening very soon. Depends on how many goddamn emails I get. Anyway,
Alright.
you know what? I got a very interesting question from some kid who dropped us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. This comes from Samson Knight. Samson Knight 909, and he says, "Hey guys, the show is awesome. Thank you."
That it?
Well, no, he says more actually. He
Alright.
says, "My question is, who do you think is the better overall gamer out of the four of you? Thank you." Well,
Oh, here we go. Here comes the egos now.
I say, me, I'm not so much good at video games as I am exploiting the shortcomings of software. That's kind of my thing. Once I figure out,
What genre are we talking here? Because if we're talking fighting games, there's no question I'd kick all your asses.
Oh,
oh, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm pretty good.
I stink at fighting games. I like them, but I
It
can't.
it depends on the game. I'm sure if it were racing games, Sainted would beat all our asses because
Oh,
he
easily.
plays more Gran Turismo than I do, you know. Or Alpha, I'm sure he's great at Japanese hentai dating sims. But
What do you mean great at them? I'm a fucking pro.
He has a gold medal.
Actually, I have platinum trophies on all of them. You know how hard it is to get the fucking tentacle rape trophy? It's very difficult, but I managed it.
Hey, when there's a tentacle, it's never rape, baby.
yes.
Depends on how many you have.
Is this a holdup? No, this is a science experiment.
And Yell Chaos is great at. So, anyways, what's the next subject?
It legitimately it does boil down to what style of game that we're playing, because there are some that legitimately I'm just not very good at. Like I suck at versus puzzle games. I've tried. I'm not really good at them. I'll play them, but everybody beats the holy shit out of me in them, and I pay next to no attention because I know I'm bad at them. So then I just lose anyway.
Well, there's a game I'm really great at, and it's actually on the old Texas Instruments TI-99, and it was called Calculations. Anyway,
I'm just shrugging right now.
I'm just like,
Anyway.
yeah, whatever. That was about as funny as being shot.
I know, right? Well, this is our life. This is the life we've been forced to lead. Anyway, our next piece of mail comes to us at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. This one comes from Stony Rez.
Hello.
Stony Rez says, "Hey now."
Hey now,
He says,
you're a rock
hey.
star.
And he says, "It seems like next year is going to be a pretty decent as far as gaming in the beginning of the year. I'm planning on buying BioShock Infinite, not just because I'm a fan, but also because you get a copy of the first when you buy the game new." I didn't know that. He says, "My question is, shouldn't all studios do this? Justify a $60 price by giving you 2 games for the price of 1? And my second question is, could Hollywood make a successful BioShock movie?"
No.
Well, I would like to see.
Hollywood couldn't make a successful serial.
Speaking of speaking of the whole packaging games with older games thing, like I would like to see, for example, the Thief series, which the older titles are not very well known by a lot of people. I would love to see like a fantastic deluxe, fancy pants, penis up your butt edition with Thief: The Dark Project, Thief 2, and Thief: Deadly Shadows packaged with the game in like a big, carrying case or whatever. Get the whole fucking thing. Why not? Why don't we see that more in deluxe editions, especially with these older games? It would have been cool, for example, to get BioShock packaged with System Shock 2, which of course could not happen because 2K is publishing the game and Electronic Arts owns the rights to System Shock 2, but still, a girl can dream.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways.
Got the girl part right, anyway.
No, I think it's a fantastic idea for them to do that. But the other thing that I actually want to add in addition to them packing in the previous titles of whatever series that may be, I think that they should also give you some perks and benefits for playing the sequels if you have system data or save files from completed games of the past series. Like, the Yakuza games, they do that. And I like that a lot because I have save files for all of them except for 2, which I still don't have because I suck. But
Well, and Mass
uh,
Effect did that with the, you can actually load your save files and whatnot, which is cool.
oh
But
yeah,
but I mean, it's doubly effective because number one, it accomplishes two things. Number one, people who didn't get to play the old games get to play them and get caught up to speed on the story. And number two, it's an added incentive for studios not to make prequels or reboots
Mm.
that completely disregard the fact that it's that it's actually an entry in the series, like the new fucking Tomb Raider. You know what
not
I mean?
just that, but if you think about it, for anybody that's new to a series, if they hear about one of the newer installments in whatever franchise it is that we're talking about, and it's got extra games in it from that series, then they'll be like, oh, hey, this is actually worth me going and picking up. Then I don't have to start over from scratch. There's games that'll be on past consoles and on PC and whatnot, never made their way to console and things of that nature. If you bundled all this shit together, you would make current fans of that series happy, and you would make it a lot easier and give more incentive to people that were kind of iffy or on the fence about it. So
Yeah,
fuck yeah to this idea.
you could do it a little easier. You could, for example, include a voucher for the complete game collection on Steam or something
Yeah.
like that,
Mm.
so that you could redeem it and play it on your computer or something. That's another way to go about it. But that's just something that doesn't get done enough. Very few games have tried that.
But
It
the,
doesn't. It's
Anyway.
because they want to continue to cash in, and it makes no sense. It's like those past titles aren't even being fucking published anymore, so you're not making money off of it. So why don't you bring them back and make the current titles a little bit more desirable to random ass fucking jackoffs that want to go and play it?
exactly.
Ass
I'd just like to
fucking
point out
jack.
that
Now, how do you jack off while ass fucking? How does that work?
Hmm.
Very carefully.
I was gonna say it takes a lot of twisting, contorting, and some gymnastics.
well, I think it would also require you only to being half committed to one act or the other.
Wait, so I get, yeah, you have to half-ass stuff. Oh, that kind of
Yeah, there you
sucks.
go.
Not
There you
giving
go.
everything your all.
But there is
Jack
one.
of all trades, master of none.
There is one game that we can tether it to a um, previous topic that we had on this podcast so far, and that is Alice Madness Returns. Because you buy
Yes.
that, buy the PS3 version specifically, you get a glitchy mess, but in a long game that does get very laborious after a few hours, but it looks beautiful. You also got the original game, which was Alice into Madness, was it, or something?
Wait,
The American McGee Alice, the first one from the
yeah,
PS.
and that one was exclusive to PC. Never made its way to consoles, despite the fact that it was supposed to. And if you get the game brand new, which you can for like 20 or 30 bucks now,
Hmm.
then you get a download voucher for the PC version. You can play it on the consoles, which is fucking awesome.
It is bitching. So there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuing
Yay.
on. Yeah, okay,
Moving
I'll
on.
do your job.
Who you talking to, motherfucker? Anyway.
Put that
Um,
fag out and get on with it.
Wait a minute, what? Anyway, our next piece of mail comes from Matt Krupa, and Matt Krupa says, "Hey, Hate Bit Podcasts, I have a question for you all. Do you guys think the Japanese game industry would recover in the future? I heard from an article. I wouldn't you say that you read from an article? Anyway,
Probably
from
so.
CVG that Japan might be able to rule the world once again. Most of the stuff sounds good, but I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The only obstacle remaining is whether or not Japan should pander to Western gamers. What are your thoughts?"
I think they
Hmm.
already are. I think they
Yeah,
were.
they
I think
are.
they were pandering to Western gamers back in the late '90s. It's just that Japanese shit was really popular in the late '90s, and I do mean shit. I mean bad Japanese cartoons. Because folks, you can be an anime fan, and I'm fine with that. Whatever, that's cool. But if you like late 90s anime, you have the worst taste known to man, okay? Late 90s anime is utter fucking shit. But anyways,
Example?
so that's another can of fucking worms.
I would say
But-
example.
As an example, anything released in the 1990s, absolutely. Hell,
Coming from somebody
well
that
played.
hates the 1990s.
it goes on. It goes on to the present, as a matter of shit like Bleach and and Inuyasha and shit. That's the modern anime industry.
Bleach
folks.
wasn't too bad. Naruto, good god.
I was gonna say I have two examples for you from the '90s that can discount that ever so slightly, and that's Cowboy Bebop and Trigun.
I agree. Wholeheartedly, I
boy.
agree.
It's so overrated.
Oh,
But
shut
anyways,
up.
Just saying.
oh,
Hey,
overrated.
I'm trying to be the other side of the argument. I'm sorry.
No, I'll tell you one anime to watch, Sekiro. Sekiro is fucking awesome. If you like big bouncing anime boobies, that's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, with the
So-
things they don't put in anime anymore because it's not politically incorrect because their industry has gotten just as fucked by corporate interest as any American corporate interest. So shit like boobs and blood, that's gonna go away. It for all intents and purposes it has gone away.
It has.
But-
Well, look at Lara Croft. She's had a boob reduction.
Yeah. Well,
She's
that's
also
fine.
covered in mud all the time.
Mm.
She also couldn't fit in a tomb otherwise.
But more to the point, yeah, I think number one, the Japanese industry could stand to take some notes from the Western industry because they are way stuck in the fucking past, and I mean in terms of game mechanics, they're way stuck in the past. Their concept of what an RPG is, this is extremely controversial opinion, but I don't give a fuck, is not a role-playing game. Okay, it's a strategy. It's a turn-based strategy game. You're not playing a role. You don't get to create your character. You don't get to influence the story. Ergo, it's not a role-playing game. It's a fucking strategy game. It has more in common with an RTS than an RPG. But anyways, I could see them incorporate more Western elements. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because it's a very stagnant industry right now.
Hmm.
Well, I
Nope.
just wonder, are the Japanese really going to give a shit about games again? Because it kind of seems that they've, sort of moved on.
Well, look at the Wii U.
There you go.
Look at the 3DS XL.
Look at any of it.
at the
It just
Vita.
seems like yeah.
The Vita's actually
seems-
useful, though.
Yeah, but it's not selling.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
it's
I'm
useful.
Well, yeah, useful has nothing to. Yeah, dude, a douche is real useful, but since men aren't buying them, it doesn't really affect us.
I don't know. The Vita's still young, so give it a chance.
Well,
Once it gets a price drop.
you keep saying that, but you have to understand that Sony's head is on a fucking chopping block, and they're not big on time.
Nintendo, so is Microsoft, so is fucking every other game company on the planet.
Right.
I think I've got
Anyway,
you with that
We need to find this guy a Crash Bandicoot mascot outfit like in those old Sony commercials. That's what we
you know what?
need.
I would pay money to see that. To see like Crash Bandicoot on his knees begging a television camera, please buy the Vita, please. My last paycheck bounced.
Yeah, right. Until recently, they had Kaz Hirai fulfilling that function.
Yeah, Kazurai actually left Sony Computer
Yeah, he's
Entertainment.
gone.
He's in another part of Sony now.
Gone, daddy, gone.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, that's gonna wrap up the intermission. So we hope you enjoyed our little pieces from the colostomy bag. We keep a bunch of shit in there. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns of any kind, please be sure to drop us a line at hatemitpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to like us at Facebook. There's a link down below. Don't forget to subscribe because you must, or I will kill you. Anyway,
We appreciate it.
Yeah, and you'll appreciate it after we kill you. I mean, you'll be dead, but you'll still be impressed. So, yeah. Oh, you know what? First thing for the second half, what are we listening to? A lot of fans have been asking what kind of music we've been listening to, what's been going on for the last few weeks. And so I'm going to point right at Razorfist, because Razorfist is always ready to talk about some music. Razorfist, what's been in the CD player lately, man?
I've been listening to the new Manowar, Lords of Steel. It's fucking fantastic because somebody decided to actually hide the fucking synthesizer and Pro Tools from Joey DeMeo. And it's a heavy metal album for once, which is fucking great after that abortion that was Gods of War. I've been listening to the new Accept album, Stalingrad, which is a goddamn masterpiece. It's fucking fantastic. And I've also been listening to Eclipse by Yngwie Malmsteen, which is my favorite Yngwie album. And it never seems to leave my CD player. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to. So
Alpha Omega Sin, what are you going on, man?
I got my brother into a couple of things recently that we've been jamming to, but got the newer Overkill album, The Electric Age, which is very, very, very fucking awesome.
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
Oh, dude, it's one of the best albums they put out in a long time. I thought Ironbound was really good, but then they came out with this, and I was like, yay! This is more into their old school form. So if you like Overkill, then you should be picking that up. Beyond that, been listening to a band called Entrench. I have a album from them called Inevitable Decay. It's very, very good. And another band called Fester with an album called A Celebration of Death. It is also pretty good. And they're newer bands too, so if you haven't heard of them, check them out. It's good stuff. It makes me happy and pleased in the trousers.
Yeah, Fester's pretty awesome. You should play their game, Fester's Quest, on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
And then
You'll
you throw
enjoy it
the
thoroughly.
NES out the window when you play it.
Well, that's part of it too.
That's the thing. The new Overkill was great because I hate retro thrash. Does anybody else hate this fucking retro thrash thing that's fucking going on? With
You mean those bands that seem to reiterate "Bonded by Blood" over and over and over again?
Like I know Alpha's a fan, so I apologize, but like fucking Toxic
That's all right.
Holocaust. I hate Toxic Holocaust.
I know. I've gotten some shit from Yo Chaos about it, but
What
yeah,
was
I like the band a lot.
Warbringer or Artillery, one of those.
Ugh.
One of those. Those kind of bands, I just can't get into them. But when older bands like Forbidden or like Heathen or whoever, when they release a new album and it sounds like the classic stuff, which by the way, the new Forbidden blows dick for free.
Yeah.
And the new
No,
Heathen,
actually, it blows dick for $12.99 on iTunes.
it does. The new Heathen blows dick for $15.99 at Zia Records. It's unfortunate, but Overkill returning to form, I mean, that's fucking fantastic. Just like Accept, for example, returning to form with the classic kind of sound on Blood of the Nations.
Blood of the Nations was a badass record, man.
Oh yeah, it was one of the best albums I'd heard in a long ass.
Oh, they're coming to town. They're coming to the West with Creator pretty soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've already got my tickets, bitch.
Did you? Oh, you know what? I'm thinking about going. I'm thinking about it.
Just go.
I probably should, but I'm too old to go to metal shows.
Oh,
now,
stop moaning that you're too old, you old crusty bastard. Just go.
I know.
If Brian Posehn can still go to metal shows, you've
That's
got to.
well. How can that dude fit into metal shows?
I don't know. He's always talking about how he's afraid people are looking at him like he's the guy who's going to lure them to his van. I got Slayer posters in here.
I remember I seen him at the Sounds of the Underground festival that's a long time ago, if you can remember that. And I seen him there, and he was wearing the same Death Angel shirt he's always wearing. And so, do you remember when he did that song "Metal by Numbers"?
Yeah, I do.
I was standing, just by the side having a smoke, and he walks past me, and some drunk ass kid goes, "Cookie, cookie, cookie, you're the cookie man." Like, fuck, man, calm down.
Talk about obsessed.
I know, right? But anyway, cookies he had. This is really funny if you've seen the video for Metal by Numbers, and if you hadn't, you're totally lost. Anyway, I've been on a bit of a power metal kick lately, and I've been listening to a band from Italy called Labyrinth, and their masterpiece of an album, Heaven Denied. I enjoy that one very thoroughly, and thanks to fucking Razor Fist, all day, and last few days actually, I've been listening to Man of War's The Hell of Steel. Almost words there. A fantastic record, and that's before they discovered synthesizers, which is always good. So, Saint to Magnus, what have you been listening to, man?
Well, I've just recently got hold of the Prodigy Live Worlds on Fire Blu-ray, so I've been watching / listening to that. Also, thanks to Razorfist, bastard, I've been listening to some Accept, so I'm getting
Yeah.
really
Which
into
record
them
you been
actually.
listening? Which
Uh,
record you been listening
I'm s- I'm on balls to the wall at the moment because
to? Yeah.
that's the song you introduced me to, so I've listened to the album, which is what I tend
Uh-huh.
to do.
The whole thing's good. Whole
The
album.
whole thing's good,
That's a
yeah.
great album.
I
The
really
album
enjoy
cover
that.
will make you wonder for a second.
What?
It does actually.
Hey, heavy metal, here's a crotch.
Here's a hairy crotch.
There's a big hairy crotch, and then there's a song called London Leather Boys. Like, what the hell is going on?
I know it's crazy.
It's
No,
funny.
but I must admit I do like that a lot. But uh, I'm gonna be picking up some more Prodigy albums because I'm gonna go and get all the CD released Prodigy albums because I am actually a Prodigy fan. I have been since I was a kid, really. So
Really? Have they
Isn't
still
Prodigy
been
like
making
tech?
music?
Isn't Prodigy like techno?
they're actually they do loads of different music styles. They're not just stuck to electronic music or techno music. They get
I
many
don't have a
different
problem
genres.
with techno or electronic music for the record. I don't.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, lately I've been listening to a lot of. There's this trend going on in like France right now, where these like electro bands, and I do mean electro, like in the 1985 sense.
Oh, I love
Uh,
electro. Electro's good fun.
they've been playing electronic music, but only using 80s synthesizers.
Oh,
So it's like it sounds like something you would hear on the radio in like 1983, like something in like Grand Theft Auto Vice City's soundtrack is what it sounds
Oh
like.
my god.
that is awesome.
And it's pretty good. Bands like Laserhawk or fucking Laserhawk, man. Power
Laserhawk.
dude, it's good shit.
That's gotta go in the list of great names. That's right up there with like Wargasm.
I know, right?
No, but yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the Prodigy. And I'm looking forward to picking up some of their older albums.
Awesome, man. And hey, if you want to let us know what you've been listening to, please drop us a line down below. But
Whether we read them or not,
now,
we don't know yet.
right? Yeah, well, it depends on whether or not you have good taste in music.
Yeah.
But moving on, you know what? The fine folks over at Electronic Arts, you know what they said? Somebody over there, shut their mouths off and said that Elite Mode is now just going to be a way of life.
Oh God.
Now, who said that specifically? Razorfist, were you telling me about that?
Yes, that was they are saying essentially that their competition has the right idea. They were pressed overtly on the concept of, hey, that's not really your idea. You sure are stealing that idea, and they're like, yep. so, so they just said, yep, we're stealing the idea, and it's a damn good idea, and you'll see a lot more of it going forward. Essentially, basically saying that, you know how a year back they made the big they made the declaration essentially that DLC was going to be a bigger deal, and we certainly saw that come to pass.
Hmm.
And now essentially they're making that same declaration except with premium online modes. So now you will get to pay for things that should be free, basically.
Yep. Gone are the days when you didn't have to
Wow.
pay for a mode.
I know. Well,
And
Can
you want to
anybody
know
remember
what
the time?
I was just
Yeah.
say it's ironic that they'll say, yeah, by paying for this premium membership and all that stuff, you get all the DLC for free. You don't get something for free if you're paying monthly for it.
It's
Th-
free
this-
if you
Yeah,
pay for it.
you gotta think about this. That's like saying, okay, well, I have Verizon Internet, but they're throwing in internet for free.
I
Wait,
know.
what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like it, you can't pay for a service monthly, and then they tell you the content of the service is free. That makes that.
That's like saying
I'm
the
actually
rides
like
to Disneyland are free
tickled.
if you pay to get in.
I should just go to Denny's and sit down, order the Grand Slam breakfast, and they're like, "You got the eggs and the sausage and bacon for free. Isn't this great?" And it's like, "What? No, I didn't. I
Yeah,
just
you just
what
paid
the fuck?"
$94 for toast.
Exactly.
So
It's
fucking
amazing.
retarded.
It's amazing the way they keep digging up new ways to fucking gouge you. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
You'd
why
think
is
there
it
would
that
be-
everything that used to be called a mode is now called a service?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't that
You would-
fucking insane?
It is
You would-
fucking insane.
You would think that you would think there would only be so many different ways to fuck a cat in the ass, but they somehow find new and exciting orifices to
Yeah,
cram
this is
their
like
stubby
corporate
little members.
Kama Sutra. They're gonna fuck you. They're just gonna fuck you from a different angle.
And here's the worst part about it. And you want to know? I'll fucking say this. I hate the fact that I hate the companies that are coming up with it. I hate the suits that fucking support the idea. I hate all those fucking random jackoffs. What I really hate the most is the motherfuckers that go and pay their hard-earned money to support this idea so it continues to happen. So they're like, let's just keep going with it because they're fucking suckers.
If you partake,
That's what
you
I
have
hate.
no one to blame but yourself.
Oh, but
Yep.
we'll have more than enough time to talk about this, fellas, because I think today's rant is on this subject. Just a nice little teaser for you. Hate
Oh
bait.
boy, he's teasing it.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just putting the tip in. That's all.
Oh, you
Remember-
sir are a true romantic. You know that?
don't
true romantic
you'll get
rubs
your
the
chaos
head.
excited. We don't want to do that because
I
then,
know,
then
man.
he starts humping the furniture, and we don't want him to be humping the furniture now.
Depends on how nice your furniture is.
You
You
leave
were
my
supposed to
furniture
go
alone.
get. You were supposed to go get him fixed, Sainted.
I'll cut his cock off later.
You gotta touch it first.
There is
That's
plastic
why I've
on
got
the
the
couch.
tweezers.
There you go. Good enough for you. Anyway, fuck that shit. You know what? Now, there's been a development. I won't call it good news. I won't call it bad news. But apparently, according to Zelda Informer, Nintendo is giving up, or I guess it was Kotaku too. Nintendo is giving up on 3D.
Yeah!
Now if only every company would do that. If only Sony would do that. If only Microsoft would do that. Give up on it. It's a gimmick.
Yep.
Jesus fuck. Just
If you
because
want to see things in
a
3D, go somewhere.
I know. Here's this. There's this wacky new invention called the human fucking eyeball. All right. You can see in 3 dimensions.
Ooh, the future.
All you have to do is leave your pastel living room.
Hey, it's not 1982. The living rooms aren't all pastel.
Not
They
yet.
are if you live in the Southwest with a bunch of fucking Mexicans. But anyway.
Whoa, whoa. We should say for the record that Yell Chaos is part fucking Mexican.
Well, I
can
have
get away with
first-hand
it.
experience, so there you go.
You can get
But,
away with it, just.
Well, that's unfair, but, that's a double standard only Chris Rock lives by. But anyway, Alpha Omega Sin, what's the story, man?
So this is something that's been going around for a while now. Apparently Nintendo, for anybody out there that gets any 3DS, regular DS, Nintendo Wii games, you get the Club Nintendo points inside and you go and redeem them. Afterwards, they give you a questionnaire and you answer all the questions and whatnot and finish it so you get your points. Well, apparently Nintendo has been getting an astonishing amount of answers back about, have you been using the 3D? No. Have you been using the 3D on the game? No. Are you enjoying the 3D? No. They're getting a lot of, I just don't like it, I don't really use it answers back. And now apparently, keep in mind this is all something that a lot of people are just assuming. So this is an actual concrete, but numbers aren't really lying here. That they're really thinking about straying away from it. The irony is that the system is called the 3DS.
Yeah.
The 3DS. It's in the fucking title, and they can't just flat out abandon it because if they do, well, it's the Virtual Boy 2 all over again, and they don't want to go and do that.
Well, let's be real here. It's already sold enough units now. It's not the Virtual Boy, okay?
Oh, no,
it's doing relatively well. I mean,
I'm not comparing it, like actual sales figures wise. I'm just talking about we came out with a 3D thing and
You mean
nobody likes it still.
reputation-wise?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm rolling with. I don't. Well, here, go ahead.
No, I really don't think they need to. I'm going to be real here. I mean, I don't. I like the 3DS and I like the 3D function on it. I think it's really cool. You don't have to wear glasses. I think it's cool. You can turn it off too for when your eyes are fucking bugging you. But it's a nice little thing to have. It was a blast to use it in the Star Fox 64 remake. It's a great game, and it was utilized well in that instance.
It's great in Super Mario 3D Land.
Yeah,
It's necessary in that game.
It's
Absolutely.
a really fucking cool feature, and this is one of the few instances where I think 3D was not quite completely a gimmick, because you do actually need the 3D at times. And honestly, even if it was a gimmick, it's kind of a cool gimmick on a handheld system without any 3D glasses. So
Mhm.
I have no personal grudge against the fucking 3DS. I really don't think they should stray away from it. You've always got the option to turn it the fuck off. So why stray away from it to begin with? Put
My
3D
point of
all
view is,
over.
why are they listening to people who write things in those columns? These are the same people that have convinced the entire industry to make shooters for the rest of their lives.
I know, right? These are the same people
The
who are
fans
buying.
know fuck all.
These are the same people who are buying Call of Duty Elite happily,
Yeah.
with a shit-eating grin on their face. All right.
Uh,
Yes.
I'm paying every month to get DLC packs, or it's free.
I'm
Yep.
paying every month to curse at my friend because they took away cursing on the regular plan.
These are like the motherfuckers who buy a freaking membership to LA Fitness so they can walk on a fucking Stairmaster. You know what I mean? Like there's just no stairs where they
Yeah,
live.
like they had to climb stairs to get into the fucking place. Like, you just come here and left a few times, and same idea.
The one thing about the 3D on the 3DS, I do think it's been done very well. I don't use it all the time on things because, like, for instance, on Resident Evil Revelations, I didn't play with the 3D on almost at all because it was just kind of pointless. It was like, all right, some of the menu stuff is hovering in front of me. All right, I really don't need that. But when they implement it in such a way that it really adds to the gameplay, like in Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time 3D, okay, that looked fucking awesome.
Sure.
We had touched on Super Mario 3D Land. Again, that looked awesome. I think that when it's done well, it's fucking awesome. Should they outright abandon it? I don't think so, because it's just, I don't know. It'd be fucked up because it's like, what are you going to call it now? It can't be the 3DS anymore. And like Razorfist said, you can turn it off. So if anybody's ever bitching about the 3D on the 3DS, then don't have it on. Also, it eats up more battery, so you won't want to have it on to bitch about.
Oh yeah, well look at it this way. They are in the very lucky position, and I don't feel. I think they may have thought this through a little bit with the name, but don't forget this is the third iteration of the DS hardware, so they can always land on that, and they'll find a way to market that. It's the third DS.
True, true.
But I really don't think the 3D should go away. They were doing some great things, and it's going to be like every other Nintendo instance. Nintendo knows what to do with the hardware, and then all the shovelware providers don't give a fuck and just throw whatever. And yeah, just put a third layer on there, and yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that when it's implemented lazily, nobody's really going to get a lot out of it. But if you have third-party companies who look at some of the fucking standards Nintendo has already set, they're like, okay, let's build a game from the ground up, taking advantage of the hardware and really utilizing the 3D in a non-gimmicky way, just like whenever it came to the bottom touchscreen when a DS was brand new. Okay, it's real easy to just have a swipe motions and shit and you're done. Just like with the Wii, waggle motions. Okay, there, it's interactive suddenly. All right, if you do it right, it's a fucking awesome, new, innovative, and engrossing experience. But if it's lazily done, yeah, of course you're gonna write in a fucking column, yeah, I didn't really use it because it was pointless. That shit'll happen. So it's up to the developers, really.
Yeah. Well, people say, oh, well, it hurts my eyes. Like, well, if you'd stop jerking off, your fucking vision wouldn't be so bad, and you'd be able to experience it better.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, even if it's a gimmick, whatever. It's on a handheld. It's kind of a cool gimmick. I'm fine with that. Whatever. As long as the game's good. As long as it's not detracting from the game.
And not
Fucking
every
whatever.
game has to have 3D. That's the thing. There's nothing that says this has to have 3D, but the option is there.
Yeah.
And that's nice to know.
Yeah. And that's why I think it works as opposed
Yeah.
to, for example, the Vita.
Because
But anyway.
3D
Well,
or not,
the-
the 3DS is a very powerful system, and it looks great, whether you have the 3D or not.
Yeah.
So, whatever happens, I just hope they don't completely, shit on their own chest and,
Yeah.
I don't even know where I was going with that. There's just shit on chest.
He took.
This
took
is like a
right-
German movie. This is like a German.
took a
So
right
is there
turn
going to be a
into
glass table?
You better goddamn believe it. So,
Two
but,
girls, one cup. That's
no,
all I'm
no,
gonna
no,
say.
no, no. Several girls, one table. But we wish
What?
Nintendo the best, and we hope that now You guys missed it, but Razorfist was talking some shit about how Nintendo has kind of seen down the pike and realized that the 3D thing. When are they going to pick up on the 3D thing? It's just it's never going to be the next big thing. It hasn't been because I think we've discussed it before.
The only reason anyone thought it was going to be the next big thing is because James Cameron hired a bunch of people in the fucking media to say it was the next big thing because he needed to sell a lot of tickets to Avatar. And he sure as fuck fucking did. I don't know why that movie's goddamn horrendous, but that's the only reason anybody thought it was the wave of the future.
But it seems like it's the same goddamn smear campaign every decade.
Yeah, it's shit. All right, it's shit. It's a gimmick. It's still a gimmick. Nothing actually changed this time around. The only thing that changed is on occasion, depending on the TV, you can see 3D without wearing glasses. That's the only discernible thing that's changed. And folks, it was not the fact that we had to wear retarded-looking glasses that made us not want to watch 3D, that made it a gimmick, that made it fall out of fashion the previous 5 fucking times it was attempted in the movie or game industry or whatever the fuck. The reason why is it's just not needed. We don't need it at all. It's completely unnecessary, and it's a transparent cash grab.
But
Yeah, I don't
there's a thing with that as well. Just to add to what Razor Fisted says, that you go out and you buy these 3D TVs, and if you've got bad eyesight, you know, say if you've got a lazy eye in one eye, for example, you're not going to see the fucking 3D. So
Yeah,
it kind
It
of
doesn't
defeats
work.
the object of actually having, I don't know, what, a £600 or £700 bloody TV with
Yeah.
these sets of fucking glasses.
Well, I think the sad part is that how humans, our eyes are very simple. You know, there's certain colors we can't see and so on, you know, because of the 3 rods and whatever have you.
Hmm.
And when you take that into account, you realize they went that direction because where else can they go? They've already gone to high def, which looks like you're already in the room. Where else could they go? 3D was the final frontier. So, which goes to show, I think we've reached the end of what technology can teach us.
Hmm.
God damn, I'm depressed. But anyway, we wish Nintendo the best, and hopefully they don't do something really fucking stupid like, you know, last week and the week before and the week before that. So, now, according to several sources, the Xbox 360 has been declared the winner of this generation? What the
No,
fuck?
fuck off.
Now, as someone else said, and I won't say who, they said, you know, it's pretty easy for you to, you know, accumulate such impressive sales figures when you got to buy the same system over and over and over again. But
Yep.
Razorfist has got more on this story. What's going on, Razorfist?
Visual.ly. It's the name of some like firm, some financial firm or something that they analyzed this, and basically, yeah, they determined, and they were combining both console sales and software sales. That apparently the 360 won by like a 64-36 margin, and apparently they used, and this is why these numbers are highly suspect beyond the fact that they're nothing but fucking flame. They're basically just fuel for the fanboy flames. That was a lot of F alliteration.
Oh yeah.
But they're extremely suspect because they culled many of their statistics from VG Charts, which has a fucking track record like Sylvia Brown. So not exactly. Not exactly the Nostradamus of the video game industry, in other words. But that's basically why it's extremely suspect. It's basically just a way to get people to go to this fucking website, which I've never heard of. And yeah, that's basically all it is. In my opinion, that's probably what it is.
All right, so this was just one of those trolling type things, just to grab people's attention. Hey,
Yeah,
come over.
like Jim Sterling's very existence.
No.
Dude, I've seen IGN do this very same thing multiple times, where they'll have a very misleading title, and they get fuck tons of clicks and traffic going in there, and you know their ad revenue goes through the fucking roof. Meanwhile, all it is a perfect fucking way to get a bunch of people to go into the fucking message board, to go into the comment section, all the other shit, and absolutely flip the fuck out on one another. And it's ridiculous because it's just like, you're combining hardware and software totals together now, and you know, fuck this. Like, I don't give a shit about what fucking numbers it pulled in. I care about what fucking games are being released and whether or not they're actually worth a fuck to play.
No, I can't be dealing with that. The whole thing of declaring that Xbox has won the console generation. It's what is it? Fucking Major League Football or something? No, nobody cares. All they want to know is whether the console's good enough to play games on. If it is, then yeah, I'll buy that console. Then obviously I'm going to play the games on it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't care about sales figures. I don't give a shit how many units a game has sold. I just
Well, the funny
want
thing
to
is,
play
it's
them.
interesting how
It's
they cut out the Wii. They didn't even incorporate the Wii sales figures because that'd be not fair and so on.
it wouldn't be at all because the Wii is still so far ahead of both companies, but not in terms of software. That's another
No.
important distinction to make.
No, but if you're gonna be full of shit all the way across the board.
I know, right?
Exactly.
The problem
You know.
here is, though, it's sainted. The problem is that Sony brought this on themselves because during the PS2 era, they were rubbing everyone's noses in their sales figures.
Exactly.
They were making a huge deal and flexing their micrococks over how many fucking units they sold. And the whole time, I mean, I'm just like rolling my eyes. And I'm still rolling my eyes at this. It's fucking bullshit. It's stupid. It's a transparent attempt to accrue controversy and whatever.
No, but
Well,
this just gives all the fucking stupid conspiracy theorists in the gaming world and all the stupid fucking fanboy flaming twats that like to put videos up on YouTube saying, "Oh, the Xbox sold more than the PlayStation 3 and the Wii put together just because I had to buy 3 consoles each day." You know what I mean? That sort of fucking bullshit videos. We don't. It,
Well,
oh,
my question is, why is this important?
exactly. That's what I'm
It's
trying to get
not.
at. Why is it
It's
important?
not.
What?
Especially not when. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's just
Go
a
ahead.
fucking brain aneurysm, basically. And
Well, it's just amazing. These fat fucks go off on a line about the sales figures and sales figures. Do you invest in this company? No? Then your time would probably be better spent bathing, motherfucker, than worrying about the sales figures of something that you have no attachment to whatsoever.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
And heavy on the bathing part, by the way.
I think Alpha's got something to say to this because he actually made a pretty good video about it. So
Shameless
was-
plug.
Yeah. Man, where to begin on that? It's really just a good way for fanboys to oil up and roll around in a fucking fire together. All it is them be like, the console that I played the most won more than yours did. Now I'm suddenly the cool kid compared to you. It's shut the fuck up. Seriously, I don't give a shit. Like, literally, right now, I will never fucking care because when I was little playing games, my game suddenly didn't fucking look nicer because it sold more. It didn't play better because it sold more. I don't give a fuck how much it sells in Japan. I don't give a fuck how much it sells in America. The only time I ever give a fuck about sales ever, in even the fucking slightest, is to see, I wonder what the odds are that this will get a sequel. And that's it. And that's just a fucking, basically give myself an idea if it's even possible. That's it. That's the only time I would even fucking think about it. It doesn't make the games better. It doesn't. If there's anybody out there that thinks that your game is suddenly more fun and has more replay value, I'm just reiterating everything I said in the fucking video, but it's literally the only thing that I can fucking say is if you think that your game sales suddenly matter a whole bunch, and your fucking hardware sales matter a whole bunch, and your games are suddenly better and your system's better, go get fucked permanently and just go the fuck away because you're not wanted, you're not needed, you're not loved, and you should be abandoned on the fucking side of a fucking road like the aborted fucking fetus that you are. The end.
Oh yeah, they come out with these figures. Millions of people are into us. Millions of people bought this. Like, yeah, millions of people think Elvis is still alive, asshole.
Yeah, I mean, there was a really popular guy in Germany around 1933, and that didn't work out too well for anyone.
nope.
Yeah, but he did great things for the economy, I heard. Maybe we should hire him.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
I
it's
don't
a
get
bunch
it,
of shit, and it doesn't belong in your life. What belongs in your life is games and some beer every now and again. And if you got a woman, go get that woman. Anyway, you know what?
Fucking
We're
good.
getting towards the end of the. What's that?
I was just adding fuck 'em good.
Fuck them good. Fuck
Yeah.
them hard and to the left. because they
Yeah.
like it on the left side.
And listen to the Hate Bit podcast while you do
And
it.
listen to the Hate Bit podcast while you do it. We're more than willing to give instructions. If you don't know what to do, please drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. We'll show you how to do it, baby. But we've come to my favorite part and your favorite part, everybody's favorite part, the rant. Doing the rant today. You knew who's doing the rant today. Razor Fist. Rant.
Yeah. So I feel like Nostradamus at the blackjack table, bitches, because I fucking called it. And to be fair, I wasn't alone when I extrapolated that Call of Duty Elite was just the beginning, because the best money, after all, is free money. Untold legions of fanboys with varying degrees of accompanying BO and cognitive dissonance also made this fairly common sense postulation, but it never stopped being true, despite fevered egos like Yahtzee and some small island by the name of Jim Sterling offering opinions to the contrary. Calm down, they said. You don't have to buy it, they shrieked. And now here we sit, with Frank Gibeau, I think his name is, president of EA Labels, doing a pirouette out of the corporate closet to inform us that, guess what? We were right all along. Not only will the upcoming Black Ops cash-in sport its own premium online pass, Mr. Gibeau made it clear that in the coming months we'll see the vast majority of online-enabled EA titles all make the triple axel swan dive into the fucking commercial sewage right alongside them. Mass Effect, Medal of Honor, Battlefield, you name it. If you're willing to shell out your hard-earned paycheck for it, they're banking that you'll also shell out additional money for that shit that 5 years ago would have been motherfucking free. Putting aside how intrusive and inappropriate this is going to be in, for example, and until recently, atmospheric survival horror title like Dead Space, this also sets a dangerous precedent. All right, you thought on-disc DLC was bad, folks. Well, welcome to a brave new world. And no, I'm not talking about the repetitive Iron Maiden album that's at least 3 times longer than it needs to be. This Orwellian fever dream consists of companies of all descriptions faced with economic challenges and shrinking bottom lines, making the gradual transition from giving you a complete game and selling you extras to giving you 3/4 of a game and selling you the fucking rest. I mean, if you believe it can't be done, well, why don't you take a long, hard look at a Snickers candy bar? Go. Do it. Right the fuck now. Notice anything? Anything at all? Like, the fact that over the past 10 years it's gone from 6 solid inches to the size of Vern Troyer's dong at a pool party? Companies they've been doing this for decades. And I'm not delivering a message of futility or inevitability here. Just because something has always been a certain way doesn't mean it always will be. For example, Sony used to be profitable. Zing! What we can do is remain vociferous in our condemnation of this burgeoning trend and express said reproach in as articulate and specific a fashion as we can. World War I was a conflagration on a larger, more active scale than any previously witnessed by mankind, and yet it still ended with relative inaction. Conversely, Egypt censored the internet, and the entirety of the Middle East revolted as one. Sometimes words possess more raw power, while brute force and decisive action end in impotence. And nobody likes impotence. Just ask Alpha's last 5 girlfriends. I'm Razor Fist, God fucking spade.
And that
Hold
just
on, I have
Take
to
that,
applaud
Sony.
one.
take that, all fucking corporate sellouts.
Oh, and also, if you did actually track down my last 5 girlfriends, several of them have my band shirts and a couple of them have my games. I'd really like you to tell them that. So, maybe that's why.
They're all in Phoenix now.
Oh.
Well, everything ends up in Phoenix.
So everything ends up on
Unless you're from California, then everything ends up in Whittier. That's funny to people from Los Angeles.
No,
Wow,
I thought everything
that
in
was quite the rant
California.
there.
I thought everything that ended in California ended in a recall election.
Oh, that's well, it was the beginning of the end, all right, but that's another story for another time. Quite a rant there. You know what? You're absolutely right. And how did we get here? How did this happen?
How did I get here? And the days go by. Sorry.
Where am
No, but it's right. It's like how did
My
things
beautiful
get
wife?
bad? How could we as the consumer let this happen?
It happens in gradations, is what it is. It happens one little bit at a time. I made the Snickers analogy, and it's a really apt analogy.
Very much so.
They didn't lop off 2 full inches of the Snickers one day. they lopped off one little millimeter at a time. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way DLC is going. Oh, we'll give you a map pack that
with chemicals.
yeah, we'll give you a map pack, and it'll just coincidentally come with a bunch of levels that were already in the previous title at launch,
Exactly.
and we're not. You didn't have to download them. You know that kind of stuff. It's like that's what happens. Just one step up the steps at a time, basically. Babies.
It's also the fact that look at how the market has changed from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to now. You know, look at who that they were pandering to 15 years ago. Now look who they're pandering to now. It's very, very fucking different. Now they're going after everyone. It's not just that they're going after gamers. They're trying to grab up the money in grandma's little fucking fanny purse. They're trying to go and grab up the money of the dude that never played video games and, as a matter of fact, beat up kids because that's all that they did was play video games. And the last person that they're concerned with is the actual gamer because, well, quite frankly, they know that gamers will be around all the time. It's just expected of us. So they want everybody's money. So that's how the market changes, because they have to meet everyone's needs. In other words, water down everything, ever.
Well, it's interesting because if you think about this generation that we're wrapping up now, the early part of the generation was a lot about innovation. Sony brought this amazing machine that could do this and do that and fold your laundry and shine your silverware and fix your broken marriage.
No, it doesn't even do that.
Yeah, and Nintendo had this thing that no one really understood, but for some reason, the entire fucking middle class wanted it.
Yeah.
And then Microsoft decided to go right up the middle, and they got this machine that seemed to appeal to a pretty large audience. But it was about trying new things and making it work. And it seemed that way for the first part. And now it seems like this next generation that's looming is all about, give us your fucking money now!
Yeah.
We're not doing anything for you, just give it to us now! You know,
But see, they won't say just that. They'll also give you the title of a popular series.
and they'll also say, buy Pepsi!
Yeah, they'll say, we're giving you a new Splinter Cell, but it looks like Uncharted. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll say, we're giving you Splinter Cell right after you pay for it.
And you pay for it again each month after that.
Yeah.
With the free content. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yeah.
That's one thing that makes me laugh, though, is all this, all these lovely little subscription services that they want us to take out. We'll take the Xbox for example. Now, I'm not putting Xbox on the spot here because I know they've had Xbox Live for years, but it's just the easiest example I can give.
Yeah.
You buy an Xbox, we'll say $200. You buy the game to play in it, so that's $60. So we're at $260 already. You buy the subscription to Xbox Live to play it online. And then there's a premium subscription service. So that's another, $120 on top of that?
Yeah.
So that's $420 that you're spending to play one fucking game online nowadays. It's
completely ridiculous.
That's
and
not even including your internet bill.
Yeah, and Xbox Live Silver doesn't get you anything. Anything. You can't
Most
play.
people don't even know it exists.
I know. You can't get it at all. It's Xbox Live Silver is the thing that you get when you're too poor to pay your Xbox Live bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's basically what it is. It's ridiculous that they're still charging for this service, especially considering, okay, if you're going to charge me, what is it, $50 for a full year? I mean, and you break it down on a month-by-month basis, that isn't that large of a fee they're charging you, but you are paying for something. So give me something that PSN doesn't have. And they do give you a lot of things that they don't have, but what they don't give you are the important things like dedicated servers, for example, for these games. These games are still running on their own servers. Now, granted, Xbox Live does have a central server, and that helps ameliorate some of the problems that the PSN has, but it still isn't a dedicated server for each game. And I know I'm getting kind of technical here, but dedicated servers are good because they clear up lag. It means that you can basically have it's a central buffer. so that if one person's lagging, then everybody else doesn't have to suffer, and things like that. It's something that Xbox Live should be giving you, but they don't.
So it's the Shasta Cola of online service.
It is basically.
But just adding to the examples that I was giving with Xbox Live, you're paying for advertisements on your fucking games.
That's
even on the
bullshit.
dashboard.
You're still getting ads. You buy Xbox Live and you log in, and the minute you get in, what do you see? Banner ads.
Exactly.
Banner ads.
And now Sony are trying to put that in on their bloody service. What's going on here?
Oh, and it's even worse on the Sony side. This is what drives me nuts: is that they're gonna interrupt gameplay for it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's one thing to have a billboard and some product placement in Splinter Cell or in Rainbow Six or whatever the fuck game that was that Ubisoft did that with.
Oh, that was there was an entire level of in an arena on Rainbow Six Vegas 2,
Yeah.
and it was basically the Major League Gaming Expo in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one thing. But to literally, if I'm playing Rainbow Six Vegas on the stupid Major League Gaming Expo level, whatever, and suddenly the game pauses and says, and now a word from our sponsor, like fucking Dick Clark in 1943 on a fucking talk show. I mean, come on, guys, this is ridiculous.
Hi, I'm Wilfred Brimley, and I have diabetes.
Oh no.
See, the only way something like that, I'm not talking about interrupting the gameplay, but I'm talking about the only way I could really accept ads just being everywhere is if the game's free to play. I'm talking like, it doesn't cost me a dime to download it, doesn't cost me a dime to go to a store and purchase it, whatever the fucking case is, okay? Just like, the free-to-play MMORPGs. You pay for just the random goofball perk bullshit when you're really invested into the game. The same rule should apply with this. You want to fucking give me ads, then you sure as shit should be giving me a free fucking product to be able to play, to be able to put up with that fucking bullshit. But if I pay for it, no, motherfucker. I want all that shit gone, and if not, I have a shotgun in my house, and I definitely will paint your fucking brains everywhere with it.
Yeah, bingo. That's the thing, and that's why I take Sony's side on this issue, because at least Sony has a reason to put ads up. They don't charge for their service. Microsoft charging you for a service and then inundating you with intrusive ads is raw, unbridled greed. That's all it is.
You know what's so funny about this? This is so sell-out-ish.
Oh, completely.
That we could do shit like that, and people wouldn't even notice. It would pale in comparison. We could do it right now. It's like, and now, we could just have an advertisement right now.
Yeah, we could be like Botchamania and put an advertisement at the beginning of every single episode.
We could be as like, and now Hank Hill for Walmart.
The Megalomart has extremely inexpensive propane.
I do propane.
Dang old Megalomart, go boom. Anyway,
But
that's going to bring that to the end of our show, unless Saint and Magnus has something else to say before we
no,
go.
I was gonna say I think we're kind of flogging a dead horse with that topic.
Well, no, this was a good one, you have to admit.
It was.
So we thank you for joining us. Today we've learned that everybody are a bunch of fuckers.
Yeah.
I wish there was another lesson to learn from this, but everybody fucking sucks, with the exception of Accept and Manowar.
Yes.
So always remember that. So
And the Prodigy. And the Prodigy.
Yeah, and the Prodigy. That's very important to remember. So we thank you for joining us. You guys have been great. I'm Yo Chaos. Joining me as always was Razor Fist.
And no, we actually get to learn one other thing. Your word of the day is woolly rhinoceros rape. God fucking space.
No. Octo Dick.
Octo Dick. Right. Octo Dick.
That's 2 words.
Not if you spell them all together like the hardcore bands do.
Hyphenated word. No.
No, that's two phrases we've learned today.
There you go.
Walrus
Alpha
paper.
Omega Sin.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about random genitalia, then I'm going to call my wiener the Buster Blade. There we go.
Buster Blade. Sainted Magnus.
Well, if you're gonna call yours the Buster Blade, I'm gonna call mine the Gun Blade.
The emo kid. You're Squall.
I'm not Squall. Don't compare me to that fucking emo shit. If
It's a
there's
very nice early 90s reference at that. So, you guys have been fucking fabulous, and we have been the Hate Bit Podcast. See ya!
Happy 4th of July.